Carol Vorderman, what makes you look so fit?
I think I lost a lot of weight about 6 or 7 years ago, and I think, do you know what? In my 30s, my overriding memory of being in my 30s is that I was tired all the time because I had kids, young children, and you're thinking, oh, God, and I've got this career and I've got to run this and I've got to look after my mother and I've got to do all of this. Whereas now in my 40s, it's sort of, bring it on, you know, I'm cool about this. And you think, well, I don't feel as though I'm not driven in any ambitious way anymore. And you know, it's the people I want to see, and if I have a 12-hour lunch, marvellous. You know, all of that kind of thing. And the people that I'm not particularly keen on, I don't bother with anymore. Whereas in your 20s, you have to go through all that night clubbing thing, the cattle market routine, you know, and I never really liked that. I did it, but I was never really into it. So, no, very happy.
How can you help me then? Because I am a fatty and I need to lose weight.
Not.
But I mean, I need to lose a few pounds.
Detox really is the thing.
Oh, but really, do I have to eat cabbage for 9 weeks?
What do you like eating? Are you sweet things?
Well, I've only been doing this show a few weeks, so I'm staying in a hotel, so that's not good for a start.
Oh, that's not good. The mini bar.
Mini bar, full English breakfast.
Oh, two of the worst things. You know Susie Dent, who's on Countdown, does dictionaries? Yeah. We stay at the same hotel in Leeds, and we've got into this terrible habit. We go, we just have one glass, darling. So we finish at 9:30, and then there's about 6 of us from Countdown go, and then you start nibbling and nibbling and nibbling. Have another glass, and then another bottle, and then another bottle. Because you really shouldn't be doing that, darling. Goodness me, no, let's have another. And then I woke up one morning. I'd raided the minibar. I was drunk, and I woke up. Of course, makeup all over the pillow, surrounded. You know those celebrations chocolates?
Yes.
Everyone unwrapped and eaten, with these wrappers all over the bedclothes, and a little mini Mars bar stuck to my right thigh. And I thought, oh, God.
Well, the worst one is when you go in these posh hotels and you sleep on the pillow and you lay on the mint that they put under your pillow, and you wake up and that's all over the bed. That's the worst one. So help me with this then. I mean, if you drink a minibar in a hotel, I know you're a rich lady, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but that's got to be at least 300 quid, hasn't it?
Oh, it has, and that's only the water. Goodness me, it's a lot. So I pity you for that.
So that's the problem, you see, hotel, and then of course coming in to do people like you now, and then
you need to get onto the old sushi bars, you see.
Oh, I can't.
I take all those takeaways back to your room.
The only thing I like out of water is a boiled egg. I got to tell you, I don't want anything fishy.
Fish?
No, it's the smell and the look of it and the texture.
It's lovely.
I can do tuna or salmon. I can do
tuna or salmon. Nice tins.
You can tell I'm a classy boy. So this detox thing that you're so fond of, I mean, does this mean I literally just have to eat cabbage for 4 months?
Yes.
Right. I think I'll stick to being a fatty, I think.
No. It's you basically avoid wheat and dairy. And meat, really. Those are the 3 key things.
What's left?
So you eat loads of things that are left. So you have lots of kind of brown rice, and you have loads of vegetables and like roasted, or kind of Mediterranean foods, really. So you'd have lots of roasted veg with garlic and all sorts of different things, and you'd have curries, but there'd be vegetable curries, and you'd have big brown rice. You actually eat an awful lot of food, but it's just slightly different. But they don't supply it in hotels.
No, and you can't make it in a kettle, can you? Not very well.
But you can get miso soup, Japanese soup, you see. That's very low in calories, dried, and that's really nice.
My eyes are glazing over now, Carol. But right, let's go through a few things because we're running short of time already. We've got a ton to get to. Your career. I've never seen really anybody actively slagging you off in the press. People seem to like you, don't they? How have you managed that over so many years?
Oh, threatening them.
I didn't know whether
bribes.
Or sleeping with them.
Oh, yes. I do live with someone who used to be an editor of a national newspaper.
You see, people in blazers.
No, it's not that. I do get slagged off a lot. I mean, I used to get slagged off all the time. I mean, for what a war. And there was one time about 5 years ago that if you went onto Google and you typed in mutton dressed as lamb, I beat Donatella Versace, I'll have you know.
Well, there's a claim to fame. How personally do you take that? Because, I mean, you're a lady who really is above it all now. I mean, you're successful, you've got nothing to prove. If somebody was to say something, or I was to slag you off now, would it really bother you, or just think, well, that's your loss, you're a guy doing a radio show and I'm on the TV?
No, to be honest, I have been slagged off, as most people in the public eye have been at some point or other, that it's water off a duck's back. It's only very occasionally when somebody makes that, if it's something about what you wear, I mean, who cares really? But if it's something about my family, then I'm really quite hurt or revengeful. I mean, I do get it though, because everybody does, to be honest. And I just think when you do get it, you think, it's me this week, somebody else next week. You know, I can't take it to heart because I'm very lucky, and I know, and you know, having done Countdown for 23 years, how lucky am I? First job I ever had, I'm still doing it. You know,
and it's unheard of.
It is unheard of. What a fickle industry we all work in. You know,
I mean, now 23 weeks is a miracle in TV, isn't it? Let alone 23 years.
I know. It's like on television. They say, right, we're commissioning this series, you know, and usually if it's primetime series, it's like, it's a series and we're giving you 6 shows. Fantastic, big contract. Countdown is always booked for, right, how many? So that's Countdown. And the last 2 contracts have been like this. So how many shows am I signing up for? That's 1,250 programmes. And that's no joke. You know, that is the contract. You go, I'm signing to how many? 1,200. Marvellous. Think of a nicer way to live my life.
How much rubbish do you turn down every day? Because you must get offered every reality show, every crap cable show. You must be offered so much rubbish. I mean, do you literally have a pile at the day where you just throw on the floor?
Yeah, it's sifted out. I have one of my best friends. He has been my agent, manager, whatever. He's just a friend, really, for 18 years now, John. And John works and lives out of Bristol. And I'm doing some commuting to the office. He works at home. and it's really odd because I talk to John for about 3 hours a day. It drives everyone nuts. But we talk about everything. We don't talk about work, but he sifts everything out for me. That's what happens, yeah. So I don't see most of it.
There was a point a few years back where you seemed to be on everything.
I think.
I did the joke on air, you know, 3 funny things happened to me today. I got laid. A politician answered my first question, and I saw a programme that Carol Vorderman wasn't on.
I know, it was a bit ridiculous.
And that kind of was the running joke for a while.
Yes,
now, did you back off deliberately from that, or did you just think, you know what, I'll take the money while it comes? Because this business doesn't always last. You see people who are huge. Dale Winton springs to mind, who 2 years ago was on everything, and now he's just doing the lottery show.
Yes, he's very happy. So I saw him the other night, and he said, oh, darling, I'm just doing 2 series, doing lottery and Celebrity Fit Fat Club.
Yeah, you'll have to do it a bit more camp and slightly higher voice.
I can't do a good Dale. But what happened was, I was doing everything because I did think, I mean, I was being paid an awful lot of money, and you'd have been stupid not to have accepted the work. You'd have accepted
Absolutely,
it.
I'm a complete whore. If you want to pay me now, I'll do anything for you. I fully admit this. I could be fired in 2 minutes.
So I was whoring around for some time, accepting anything. And I did that. And then I was shattered. I was absolutely exhausted. And I wasn't seeing my children enough as I wanted to. So it was partly that. But also partly I wasn't being offered quite as many of the primetime shows. And then the kind of things that I used to do that I liked aren't being commissioned now. It tend to be a lot of reality shows on now. As you know, there aren't many presenter-led shows. No. And my thing is factual entertainment. So I'm not a performer like a Dale is, you know, or Scylla or whatever. I'm not a kind of a funny person who goes on and tells a few jokes and does all that kind of thing. But I like doing it's sort of mixed in with facts and stuff. And those programmes aren't being made at the moment. So I'm just very happy doing what I'm doing.
I've said on air before, and I don't know whether you agree, there seems to be a showbiz shortage at the moment. We've lost Barrymore, we've lost Scylla, there's Davina McCall, who's failing at the moment, sadly. Graham Norton's gone to the BBC, so Channel 4 have got nobody. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any big personality.
Ant and Dec are huge, and they're lovely lads, and they are funny, and they've been together 15 years or so, or more.
Well, they started in Byker Grove, didn't they?
At Byker Grove.
So they've grown up together.
Done all sorts of different things. So they might be new to my mum, but they're not new to the generation who were watching 15 years ago. And they're great. And Tarrant, obviously. But yes, I suppose you're right, really. There is particularly a dearth of male presenters in their late 30s and 40s. There aren't many around. If you think of these, think how many there are. There's Eamon.
Yeah. And he's getting all the work for everything now, isn't he?
Yeah. There aren't many, though.
No, there really aren't.
No.
You're right. I mean, there's just very little around. I suppose that's good for you in one way because it means you could get more. But do you now just want to back off and you're happy just to talk to the likes of me and then do your countdown and that's it?
Yeah.
You're easily pleased, aren't you?
I am.
We'll take another piece of music and then we've got to talk countdown. I mean, this is a thing that I think you're most famous for.
Yeah, yes.
And it must have been shown around the world.
Proud
Of course. And why wouldn't you be? It is one of the most successful programmes in the world ever. It's certainly beyond the longest. And of course, this year we lost Richard, who... in a way was mocked by many but loved by all, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And that's so rare that people kind of knew that he didn't take himself too seriously and that he could laugh at himself, so we were okay to laugh at him.
Absolutely. And because as you know, obviously you've seen Countdown many times over the years, but he as we had running jokes between us, like Countdown was on 23 years, never won a single, can I swear at this?
Yeah, go on.
Bloody award. And
I'll do one worse than that. There must be a big award than that.
And never won a single thing. And we used to laugh and laugh. And we were always nominated for the National TV Awards, the big one at Albert Hall, and we'd turn up and we'd go, and we'd be sitting next to the bill, between the bill and Brookside, and we'd go, oh, loser's corner again, and all of this. And we always found these things, I don't know if it's a northern thing, but really, really funny. But because, we knew that we loved each other. And when I say we, I'm talking about the Countdown team. We were very strong together. And so anything that was a sort of a down, we turned into an up between us. And I think it has a lovely spirit about it, Countdown. And we know that we've been mocked and... just on kind of sketch shows and stuff, but we just love it because it's just Countdown. And Richard always used to say, if it was commissioned now, it would never get past the commissioning editor. But here's a little game show, and we have these lino tiles. This old bird in her mid-40s doles out. Then you have a clock, and nothing happens for 30 seconds. And then you have a host who's kind of getting on a little bit and tells these really, really very unfunny jokes. And then you have you do sums, and then you do some sums, and then you do another little bit of a word, and that's it really, and that's 45 minutes, please. Can we have a contract? Get lost,
you see, but if you said we've got 10 people who are quite thick who we're going to put in a house for 4 months and do nothing, then they'd say yes.
Yes.
Then everything would be all right.
Then everything would be all right.
The dilemma I have with this, Carol, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't know who can replace Richard Whiteley. I think there's only one person. I said to you in the corridor, I think you were the one that I would have liked to have seen take the show and carry it on, because you are Countdown. You're Mrs. Countdown. He was Mr. Countdown.
He was Mr. Countdown.
Now, anybody who comes in, they're just going to look and think, Richard's not there with his daft ties and silly jokes.
No, but I've thought and thought, as you can imagine, I have thought and thought and thought and thought about it. And I've also read hundreds of thousands of emails, and at first we were all shocked and said that's it, really, it can't go on and so on. But then after a few weeks, when we're still shocked, but you think differently and you remember things then. And our viewers who had written in originally and said something and wrote again 3 weeks later and said, actually, we think we miss it, and we miss him, and we will always miss him. And, but it should go on because it's a tribute to him. And if it didn't go on, then somehow Richard's memory would be lost far faster than if it carries on. Because, and I know you believe me, it will go on as a tribute to him and with the greatest of respect and love for him. And if any programme's going to do that, it's Countdown. Mr. Whiteley, old Dick, King Dick, will never be forgotten if we can help it.
You can't remember that poem about Dick, can you, that he wrote? I saw it the other day. I should have brought it in.
What was it? There's Dick Turpin and there's Dick... that
right,
one, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's... I can't remember.
There's
I should write it out.
That we look up.
But yes, the one that we love. That's you, Richard. You're the greatest Dick of all. That's
right.
Oh, he loved that poem. How he loved it.
I mean, it was just silly schoolboy humour, but the old ladies loved it, the students loved it, and all those in between loved it. And I think the reason being is because, like yourself, it's just being real. You don't feel like you're watching a performer. You're just watching two guys who happen to be on the TV doing a quiz show. Yeah,
that's right. And you do play... You can't just watch Countdown. You have to play it, don't you?
Absolutely.
And it's a lovely pace, and it's very gentle. And whoever, because the decision has not been made yet, and will be made shortly, and there are a number of names.
Will you be a big part in that decision?
Yes, and it will have to be someone who loves the programme. Of that, there's no question. So, and if they love the programme, then they will have respect for Richard and everything that he did. And everyone who works on it, we're all part of the Countdown family, and I think it's right that it carries on now. I have to think that the other way round. What happened if I had passed away, an accident or something, what would have happened? And I think I would have wanted it eventually to carry on, and it's been off air. It will have been off air for 3 months, and I think that's...
Here's the question of the interview.
Go on.
Carol Vorderman, thank you so much for coming in today to Capital Gold.
Here.
You smoothie.
Guess what I've just been doing?
You've 75 times table?
No.
Flicking through the newspapers?
Yes.
Oh, lovely.
And guess what I saw?
I don't know, because I haven't seen them.
Well, let me tell you, there is a picture of you and your daughter in the paper today, and firstly, you just defy gravity. I don't know what it is. You look amazing, but your daughter as well. Is there any chance you'd consider me to be your son-in-law?
Son-in-law material? Well, of course, it's wonderful being my age, because I am very much of the older generation now, so I kind of ask everyone to call me Auntie Carol anyway.
I'm very happy to audition. Is there anything you need to know?
Auntie Carol is a kind of a first way in. You do realise this, don't you? Yeah, she's lovely, isn't she?
How can you look like sisters? I know people are going to say, oh, you're just going nonsense because she's on...
We look like mother and daughter.
No, you don't, honestly. You just look gorgeous. Congratulations on that. How long does it take to do that, or does that just come naturally?
To do what?
Make you look like you.
It's the dress. It's one of the hold it in the right places kinds of dress, I think.
Are you a Spanx lady? I'd like to Spanx you myself, Carol, if you know what I'm saying. I want to talk about you, though, because you've just had this book out about your life, and what a life it's been. I sat there on holiday in the summer, and it was in one of those newspapers, I don't know whether it was the Mail or the Sun or something, the whole Countdown episode in your life.
Well, it is a part of me. And always will be a part of me. And I hope that even in the years to come, I will always be a part of it. And I believe I will, just as Richard will. And it was always made with such love, and we just had such a laugh making it. And I'm sure half of Leeds has actually been through the studio to see it at some point or other. So they know what a laugh we all had, and genuinely loved it. And that's why it's been going for so long. It was made with love.
I tell you what really bothered me about the story that you've written about it, there's a whole chapter on it in the book, was the contempt this business can have for you, that you can make it number one, you can dedicate your life to it, and they can still smack you in the gob and tell you to leave through the back door. That's hurtful.
I think it was deeply traumatic, to be honest, because having lost Richard a few years before, and I was a wreck after Richard died for a very long time, and you kind of start to gird your loins again, and then it was the manner in which it was done. I appreciate things move on and bosses make changes and so on, but to have done all of that and then be told that I can never go back to the studio, like I've done something to be ashamed of, you can start me off now, is just not right, I don't think. I still think it's not right. It's just, I still can't understand why I'm not allowed back in the studio.
Oh, it's nonsense.
Yeah.
And I'm sure nobody would stop you if you did. I mean, why you want to is another issue. The thing is, though, we love you and we miss you. Why can't I see more of you on TV? I remember doing a thing with you about 10 years ago when I was down in London, and we sat in that studio. I think it was the first time we met. And my opening line was, a strange thing happened to me the other day. A politician answered my first question. I saw a programme on Channel 5 that didn't have sex in it, and there was a programme that you weren't on. Something like that.
Like that. It was about 10 years ago.
Yeah, and there was a point, wasn't there, when you were on everything? Have you deliberately pulled back now?
Yes, I have.
Why? Come back.
No, I mean, life moves on and television moves on, and I only want to do things that I want to do now, rather than. And I've got 2 children. My lovely daughter is 18 and Cameron's 13, and my mum's getting on now, and she's well in her 80s, and I look after her, and I'm very happy. But I don't feel there's no kind of burning need to be on the television anymore, as long as I can sort of do bits and pieces. So I'm on about once a week, making a guest appearance or something, and I'm quite happy doing that. And we live in Bristol now, and I'm very happy.
You love your mum, don't you? I got that out of the book.
I adore my mum, yeah.
How do you create that? Because what you've got is so special and unique. I mean, you've just mastered it, haven't you? The art of mother and daughter just not getting on each other's nerves.
Yeah, well, we never row at home, to be honest. It's I have 2 teenagers, and they've never, honestly, never once answered back, never once asked for anything. And so I tell them, how is this? How has this happened? I say this to them at the kitchen table. I said, are you adopted or something? They go, yes, Mum, we are. Because if you look at the 3 of us, and we're like identikits.
So what's the advice then? Is it being friends? How do you keep the discipline but you don't make it uncomfortable?
I was always, when they were young, or the discipline, there was always a very marked line where, that they could run around and do all of things. But if you crossed a line, you never cheeked adults. You always respected people. You always tried to be kind, if you were sort of carrying a bag for somebody or opening a door for somebody and all of that. But always, we had a laugh as well. And I think that, and so they've grown up with that, really. And never, ever ask for anything. Even in spite of being able and lucky enough to earn a lot of money over many years, it's like the kids grew up in Close and Woolies. Yeah. Why would anybody pay fortunes for a label for a 4-year-old? It was just nonsense. And they went to, normal schools and all of that kind of thing. So
I think the reason that they are the way they are with you is because you are what you are. I remember one wonderful time. Do you remember where we were in a taxi? You probably don't, but we were racing across London because some pillock had forgot to book a studio somewhere, and we went back to a hotel room together. Do you remember? And we sat on the sofa on the banquette.
The banquette.
It was lovely. I have pictures to prove it, Carol. You can't deny it. Hey, listen. I thought, this is a bit uncomfortable now. This is where you're going to turn on me, and I've left it right till the end. But I honestly thought you did like me because we've, over the years. No, wait a minute. I've been on the internet and I've been Googling, and when you put 2 names in, all the stuff comes up. And I thought we'd got a good relationship. That we're showbiz pals. We're not picking out curtains or swapping kidneys or anything, but everything's fine. And then I find, Tarquin, could you play that thing? We found this on the internet. Why would you say this?
Hello, I'm Carol Vorderman. I've been in showbiz for donkey's years, and I can officially confirm Alex Belfield is, without question, the ugliest man in radio. No, really, he is.
Why would you say that?
Because you asked me to.
No, I didn't ask you to say it.
You did.
That was found on a website somewhere. Out of Amsterdam or something like that.
You did.
I want you to know we love you very much, and what you do with these Daily Mirror Pride of Britain Awards is just so special. Heart-wrenching. I mean, how many days does it take you to get over the emotion of the night?
I think I'll be a wreck for about a fortnight now, so... Yeah, I just kind of work my way through the next couple of weeks.
But
it is wonderful because we see past winners come back, year after year, and particularly those who have charities, and it gives them such a boost, and the charity's such a boost. It's lovely.
Are you allowed an orange juice with maybe a little alcohol in it after the whole thing?
Well, no. I mean, last night I had a glass of wine, and then because they're clearing the room immediately, all these waiters kept I was just kind of leaping from table to table, and somebody would pour a glass of wine. I think I had a whole glass of wine in total last night. That was it.
Hey, listen, I love you very much. Thanks for coming on again, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome to an exclusive hour-long programme with me, Alex Belfield, talking to a lady who, well, is not only gorgeous, but she's a big star. And, of course, she's got a brand new book out called Super Brain, 101 Easy Ways to Have a More Agile Mind. How are you, Carol Vorderman?
Very well indeed. I'm glad you're saying nice things about me. No one can see the truth, can they, on the radio? Marvellous.
Well, you're one of my favourite people because not only are you a personality, you're funny and you're good at what you do. There don't seem to be too many people in show business today who actually can do those things.
You're flattering me now. You're flattering me. You just want one of Miss Cream scones. scones. Is that right? It was eyeing them up all morning.
Absolutely. Well, there's nothing better than looking at your scones, is there? Talking of which, I was searching you on the internet. Have you looked for yourself on the internet, by the way?
No, not for some years after I did once, and I was quite shocked at what I saw.
Let me tell you, there are 4 websites begging for you to do a lads mag.
Oh, God. Well, I did GQ magazine, which I rather enjoyed, I have to say, about 2 years ago. Ooh. And I did enjoy doing that. So who knows, I might do another one. But I was not fully clothed, but I was mainly clothed. Yes, you didn't see anything.
Do you like the adulation of things like that?
No. I just like doing something that I want, If you fancy doing something, do it, as long as you're not harming anybody. That's my belief. Yes, and as you get older, well, as I get older anyway, I think your inhibitions go rather than grow. And so, whereas when I was 20, I'd worry about this and worry about that, and 30 as well. 40s, I just think, life's too short to worry. If you want to do it, you might not have many more opportunities. So.
You seem to have a great life because you seem to enjoy yourself. Is that true?
Yes, I do like to enjoy myself. It has been known. But I do it with my friends rather than kind of in public, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I'm a very social beast, but just with my best friends.
Is being famous as important to you now as it was maybe 10 years ago when you started on Countdown?
I never wanted to be famous. And I never have. And I think, in a sense, when you don't do it for that reason. You keep your feet more on the ground. I see it more as a business, to be honest. And so, obviously, I will have some sort of ego. Everybody does. But it's lessened, and I am less worried about publicity. I sort of think about publicity, for instance, and I think, there's a new book or there's a new program or something. That's part of the business that we're in, that you have to let people know that that's available. But it's not, oh, great, I'm front page of, a newspaper today. Oh, isn't that marvellous? And get a kick out of it. That's not how I see it. I say, oh, that's good. That's going to be good for Countdown. Or, oh, that's good. That's going to be. So that's how I see it. So I enjoy the whole celebrity thing in that people are very nice to you and you can get tables in restaurants. And let's not be daft, you can get discounts at shops and you can get dresses loaned to you, and people generally, will have if you go somewhere, they're terribly polite and all of that, and you can have lots of nice chats and so on. So, if you are a celebrity, although I hate the word, then 95% of it is very nice. But there is another little bit of time. But I'm not complaining about the other side, because that's part and parcel of the job. Apart from when they overstep the line, it's anything to do with the kids or where I live or more, that sort of thing. Then I'm very litigious. I'll get the lawyers in very quickly. Anything to do with the children. And I think that's right to do so. You
do get referred to on lots of different programmes, and I think that's when you know you've made it.
Yes, I suppose so. People say, oh, and here comes a Carol Vorderman bit, and they do some calculation, I suppose. Yes, I'm very lucky because mine is the only job on telly where you have to do numbers, and I happen to love them. Well, I'm 46 now. Countdown celebrates its 25th anniversary this year, and it's just lovely to have been on it so long, because it's the very first show I was ever on, and I'd never wanted to be in telly. And so it was the first time I'd ever talked to a camera was on Countdown, and that was in 1982, and I'm still there. So how lucky am I? Very, 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 I would say. So, and to be doing the same job.
When you were at school, were you a bit of a nerd?
No, not at all. Everyone imagines that if you're good at something, you're a bit nerdy. But I wasn't a nerd at all. In fact, quite the opposite. I was a bit, I'm talking about the 60s and 70s. So I was a bit wild, really, for a North Wales teenager. So I had boyfriends who owned nightclubs and that sort of thing. And I used to go out, as soon as I passed my driving test when I was 17, and my stepfather had it was a builder, and I used to drive out in the pickup truck, the Datsun pickup, and with my 2 girlfriends, and it was one of those leather seats that went all the way across, and so because I was driving, it would be who had to sit with the gear stick between the legs, and particularly if you had a skirt on. So and all of that. I mean, we used to go out. I used to have concrete mixers in the back and all of that. We used to go to these clubs in Manchester and everywhere. So not nerdy, no.
Because you were so clever, and you're clearly very clever. I mean, you're immense. You've got an IQ way above most people. Is it easier then to kind of have fun because you don't have to try as hard?
I don't know about that. I just have always gone with what I've wanted to do. I've never gone with the pack. So when, doing Countdown, everyone said, ooh, what a crappy job to do. Much better to be the hostess, because that was the glamour bit. Well, I mean, not that I was offered that job, but I just thought, oh, no, I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing. And then a lot of people were doing there were children's presenters, because at that time things like the Wide Awake Club started and so on, which I was one of the presenters on that. But I just stuck to my sciencey bits. So in the 80s, when I was starting to do children's programs, and I started doing a lot of science programs and education shows in the days when they used to make education programs and schools programs, and all the other girls who were around at that time, they all wanted to be on Saturday night and do Swap Shop and all that sort of thing. And it didn't press my buttons at all. And they used to, because they were going for the fast buck, and I just thought, well, that's not me. My time will come. I'll just learn my trade. So I'd done everything, researcher, producer, I had my own production company. We used to make lots and lots of schools programs and all of that. And I'd just done my little thing and trolled along that way. And then time came when I had the primetime shows. And so I've always believed that you should do what you want to do and the rest will follow.
How do you feel about things like Celebrity Big Brother? I can't ever imagine you agreeing to do it.
No, not a chance. Can't ever imagine me actually watching it either, can you? No. Life's too short, frankly.
Why have we got to the point now where people who have already been successful want fame again so badly that they'll put themselves through that humiliation? I
find that weird. I think there is, although publicity and fame can be a drug, there was a time I had in a sort of 1999 year 2000 when I was on everything. I don't know if you remember that time, but I had 5 primetime shows on ITV and Countdown and just everywhere, every paper, every day. And I used to wake up in the morning and I'd flick through the papers, and if I wasn't in every paper, you think, oh my goodness me, this is a bad day. And for a period of about 3 months, I got hooked on that drug. It is a drug. And then at the end, I thought, how stupid are you, Vorderman? That's just ridiculous. Because you started playing up to it, and I thought, no, this is just a nonsense. So I took a step back and, and actively tried to get out of a lot of bits and pieces. And that was by far and away the best thing. But I think some people go into these programs thinking, oh, well, it's a bit of a laugh and I don't need the money. And others do it because they need the money, because they've used to make money and used to have a certain lifestyle and the money's gone. So I can understand that as well. And then I think some just want to be famous, and I don't get that. I really don't. And yet it is, the opium of the masses now, isn't it? Is not to watch television. Television itself is to be on television.
What do you think's your greatest skill then? Is it your intelligence, your looks, or your personality? Why do you think you get so much work even now?
I think, I'm on Countdown because I can do the sums still. Was
that why you got the job, do you think? It wasn't because you were glamorous?
Absolutely. I had to go and I had to do a sums test. It had nothing to do with anything else. And I just think when you've been around long enough, people know who you are. And I'm a worker, so when I'm booked to do something, they know they're going to get a proper job, which is important. I tell you what is interesting, the last 3 or 4 years when I've gone in to do a programme, host a programme or whatever, and a number of the researchers and the younger producers, so these would be people, I'm 46, they'd be like late 20s, early 30s, and they come up with jaws on the floor saying, but you did it first take, and I think, well, yes, but it wasn't on autocue. No, but that's what I do. You give me the words and I learn the words and then I say it to camera and they go, yeah, but nobody can do that. And you say, no, but because 10, 15 years ago, that's what you did. You know, that was called being a professional. You didn't do a take two, or if you did, it was because there was something wrong with the shot. So I could stand in a field and I can give you 5 minutes of perfect science material, you know, word perfect. And now, no, we'll just do another shot, we'll do another shot, we'll do another shot. So I think there's a lot to do with that as well.
I was saying to you earlier, though, you are a rare beast in a sense that you have a personality and you are a good communicator. There aren't that many people, particularly of the younger generation, who can actually communicate as well as you. Why do you think that is? Where has that gone?
I think there are a lot of young people who could, were they given the opportunity. But television has changed. It's going through, you know, a certain cycle at the moment where you either have to be really dim or really extrovert to get media attention. And sadly, those who probably are natural communicators don't have any outlets. I mean, I look at programmes that are on the telly and there's hardly a single one I'd want to host. There really aren't very many hosted by women that I would think, oh, I'd love to have done that. Because, you know, I was watching telly earlier this week and, you know, from 8 o'clock till 9, it was the final of one blooming singing competition. And at 9 o'clock, another one started. I thought, I don't want to see people who are average at singing, you know, all going, and screaming at each other. Again, I don't want to see it. See, the Strictly Come Dancing, I think, is different because it is of a certain standard, and by and large, it's a very high standard. But a lot of this singing stuff, it's just, oh, good grief, no. Life's too short.
You see, the irony is as well, those who can sing brilliantly can't get work on TV now.
No, they've got to dumb down a bit on their voices, you see. They've got to, when they do their auditions, they should be a little bit crap. That's my tip. Be a little bit crap and look very worried.
Don't worry about it. I make a good job of that.
And then stun them on the live programme because there's nothing they can do about it.
Are you blessed with intelligence, or is it something that we're all at the same level when we're born and can be intelligent? What do you find with that? Men, can you believe this? I find it impossible. Are born with bigger brains than women. Well, of course.
Yeah, but apparently it's not the size that matters.
You're not the first lady to say that to me.
It's the quality. Size does not determine intelligence. But yes, you are born, and it's largely genetic, with a certain mass inside. But half of our brains are what's called committed to tasks. So half of our brains are committed to running the body in terms of touch, you know, nerve endings and so on, smell, sight, and all of that, which means that the other half is left for us to develop pathways. But even if you are born with a potential for a high intelligence, if that isn't educated properly and schooled properly and encouraged properly, then, you know, if you just plonk a child for 8 hours a day for the first 10 years of their lives in front of the telly, then they're not going to be geniuses.
Even if they're watching you?
Well, that's different.
You're a very private person, yet you're a very social person. We never see you in Hello Magazine, inside the house or anything like that.
Oh, no. Ooh, don't do that. No. I once did a shoot for OK Magazine. It must be, 12 years ago, in the days before, there was only OK Magazine, I think, and Hello. And nothing intrusive happened at all, and I regret doing it now, but they were very different. Things were very different then. I'd never have anyone inside my house. Never do anything with the children. You'll never see a photograph of my kids in any newspaper. I think when I got my MBE, I had a photograph with Katie because she was at the palace. But I am fiercely protective of their privacy because I hate to see mothers flogging their children's privacy in magazines. I think it's wrong of them because, you know, your child's privacy is not yours to sell, it's theirs. And once you've sold it, it's gone forever because the newspapers are then entitled to print as many photographs of your child as they like, because if you take them to court, they can then say, well, I'm sorry, you did the whole photo shoot. You sold their privacy, not us. So it's wrong, I think, for celebrity mothers to do all these photo shoots with their kids.
I upset Jordan about 6 months ago when I made that point to her about the endless OK Magazine front covers she does with her kids. It just seems to me you have no rights. I don't think you can ever moan about me doing an interview or wanting an interview or a pap trying to get you coming out of a club if you kind of do that, because you're opening yourself up to it, aren't you?
Yeah, I quite agree. But if that's what you choose, then that's fine, because that's your life. You're an adult. It's when it comes to the kids, because, you know, I just don't think it's right. I think a child is an individual, and a child, you know, whether you believe in human rights or not, but a child, you know, should have certain freedoms. And I regard my children should have the freedom to walk down the street without being bothered by photographers. If I do photo shoots for newspapers and celebrity magazines, they will not have that right anymore, or that freedom. And that's, you know, I don't regard it's mine to sell. So I'm fiercely protective of that.
Very finally, congratulations on the People's Awards, which you do on ITV every year. They're just so great. And let's move on very finally to Countdown. How's it going with new Des?
Oh, Des O'Connor, fantastic. He started on January the 2nd, and he's such a lovely person. He radiates happiness, Des. He's 75. He's a 2-year-old. He lives with a woman 10 years younger than me, and he is a perfect example of a super brain, because you say one word to him and he can remember 1,000 jokes just related to that word. And stories. And he's a pleasure. He's a real pleasure to be with.
I think it comes full circle to what we were saying in the beginning. People like Ken Dodd and Des, we shouldn't ever lose their genius, because their minds are amazing and their acts are just unbelievable, but we never get to see it now.
No, we don't. And it's wrong, because, you know, they've been schooled over decades, and they were schooled in the time which there isn't now, when they had to really learn the skills of being a comedian and stage work, and it was crafted stuff then. And Ken Dodd is one of the funniest men that's ever lived, and yet, you know, in London media circles, he's regarded as, well, he's not very cool, is he? So what do you have? You have a swearing, strange person, sort of, what do they, not hermaphrodite, but one of these sort of, you know, you're never quite sure what he is, Russell Brand, you know, on with his very odd hair and swearing all the time. I don't get it. But then maybe I'm old-fashioned.
Also, you're a lady. Do you find him attractive? A lot of people say they do.
Not remotely. Not remotely. I don't even know if he's trying to be a boy or a girl. Well, I don't.
Carol Vorderman, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Superbrain, 101 Easy Ways to Have a More Agile Mind is available in your stores now. Always really nice talking to you. Thanks for sparing your time.
My pleasure.